On today's episode, we're talking about the Avengers Infinity War reviews. The embargo is lifting at a weird time. Some people think this is cause for concern. We're also going to talk about the news Marvel Entertainment just dropped about the Fantastic Four comic book returning to Marvel proper. It's been a long time since we've had a Fantastic Four comic. I want to talk about why that is so cool. This is the Nerdy News Rundown, broadcasting out of Uncanny in the King of Prussia Mall. Let's get this show started. What is up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome to the show. Tons of cool stuff to get into. First of all, I want to shout out Uncanny for sponsoring the show, being a big part of what I am doing on this channel. Uncanny is awesome. Go check them out. And I just want to get right into this first topic because it's something I've been really wanting to talk about. So this has to do with Avengers Infinity War. Now, it was announced a couple of days ago that the embargo and the social media embargo are going to lift at sort of an odd time. Now, normally, Marvel movies lift their social media embargo for a film several weeks before the movie comes out, and they tend to lift the review embargo for reviewers very early in the process. This is just sort of what they do over there because they tend to be very confident about their films. Well, we found out just a couple days ago that that is not going to be the case for Avengers Infinity War. Instead, the social media embargo will lift the Monday that the movie comes out in a worldwide release, and the review embargo will not be lifted until Wednesday, the day before the movie comes out. Now, a lot of people are talking about this. They think it's cause for concern. Normally, it is. I tend to look at what Warner Brothers does with the DC films and what other movies like the Transformers do for their movies. They tend to release their embargoes way later in the process. The idea here is that Rotten Tomatoes and different review sites have such a profound impact on what box office gross ends up being that if you have a crappy movie, you tend to want to hide that as long as possible on the interwebs and not allow people to say different things about it or to have the reviews come out there. So people are saying, well, hey, is this something that's going on with Infinity War? What if Infinity War sucks? I will be so upset if this movie sucks, by the way. But I actually don't think it's going to suck, and I don't think that's what Marvel is doing with this embargo. I actually believe this has more to do with the spoilers for the movie and them wanting to keep everything quiet for as many of their fans as possible. I actually believe that the reason they moved their release date to a worldwide April 27th release date is for a similar reason. And you might say, well, look, nobody's going to spoil stuff with their social media saying whether or not they love the movie. Nobody's going to spoil stuff with reviews necessarily. However, I think this is where the big problem is coming from. This is why Marvel is doing it. Tonally, Infinity War is going to be shocking. It is going to be the culmination of 10 years of happy endings, and it is going to be a bloodbath of destruction. And I literally think that this movie is going to be so shocking to audiences and reviewers and everybody that sees it that Marvel does not want that information out there. They want people to go expecting to see just another crazy Marvel movie. Marvel's been knocking it out of the park, so people are on that hype train. And I think when the reviews start to come out that the movie is incredibly dark, you might have parents that are a little bit weary of this, sort of pulling back, not wanting to take their kids to it. You might have people that, maybe don't want to go check that out with, I don't know, grandma, sensitive people like that. I don't know. That's sort of where my head is at with it. I do not think that this has much to do with the quality of the film, and instead has to do with the spoilers. And the reason that matters is because tonally, as soon as people talk about it, they're going to be giving away that feeling. At the end of the day, that feeling's going to be given away anyways. I mean, it's Thanos. Comic book fans are already prepared for the horrors that we are going to face on the silver screen. We're already preparing the funerals and the pouring out of shots for our favorite heroes. That's just the way it's going to be. But maybe it's even to a degree that people like you and I are not going to be expecting. So if that is the case, that just sort of solidifies this point even more. I'm very curious as to what you guys think. Do you think that it's possible that this movie is bad or just maybe not as good as we're all hoping it could be? Is that why the embargo is lifting so late? I mean, is that a possibility? Is my fanboy nature not allowing me to see that as a possibility? Please let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. All right, let's get into the second topic of the day. This is Marvel Comics news. If you were paying attention on the community tab, I posted something about this earlier today. Marvel teased a huge Marvel Comics announcement for noon o'clock today Eastern Standard Time. They just made that announcement literally about a half hour ago, and it was the fact that they are bringing the Fantastic Four back as a main staple book in Marvel Comics. The creative team on this is going to be pretty impressive. It is Sarah Pichelli and it is Dan Slott. Dan Slott's been crushing it lately. His Silver Surfer run, his Amazing Spider-Man run have been really awesome, and Sarah Pichelli is just literally world-class at everything she does. So the creative team is very cool, and it's awesome to bring the Fantastic Four back into the fold. However, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like this announcement was a little bit of like, yeah, no duh. We knew this was going to happen, and with a lot of Marvel's talent seemingly leaving, going over to DC, doing more independent books, and with a lot of the PR problems that Marvel has had, to bring a guy like Dan Slott, who is surrounded in some of the controversy that people talk about with regards to problems at Marvel, it's just such a weird announcement. I feel like it was super underwhelming, and although I am going to give the book a chance, and I do think Dan is a great writer, it didn't really do it for me. Just being completely honest, I was like, okay, so we're getting the Fantastic Four back. That's awesome. It's going to be written by Dan Slott. That's awesome, I guess. Now, with that slight negativity out of the way, I do want to say that I'm pretty pumped to be getting Marvel's first family back. I do also wish, though, that they could just be real with us and talk about how this looming deal with Fox has made things more easy, and they can finally bring Fantastic Four back into the fold. They famously killed the Fantastic Four and Professor X and ruined a lot of mutant books because of what was happening with the movies and the studios. So this is why they did all of this stuff, and now that Disney is positioning itself to purchase the Fox assets back, which includes Fantastic Four and the X-Men, Marvel seems to be more willing to play with these characters and to bring them back into the Marvel proper continuity. It would be awesome if they were able to just be honest about what was going on, if CB Cebulski could just get up there and be like, yeah, people are really pissed about a bunch of shit that we've been doing. We're going to bring the Fantastic Four back. It's going to be awesome, and they're going to be in the movies because we're getting those rights back. It's a good time to be a Marvel fanboy. Now, to be fair to CB Cebulski, he has been a great ambassador for the changes that are going on to Marvel, and a lot of this has to do with just making good books with the characters that people love. Everybody loves the original Avengers. They've been sort of getting the shaft in Marvel Comics in the last couple years, so it's cool that we're going back to the original characters, and this does include the Fantastic Four. The only question I have is what's going to happen with Doctor Doom. In my opinion, he's my favorite member of the Fantastic Four, and he's obviously not an actual member of the Fantastic Four. He's a villain, but he's so awesome, and him combined with those characters does make for really interesting drama. No word yet on what the story is going to be. Apparently, Dan's pitch for this was incredible, and as I said, Dan is a very good writer, so I am excited for this news. It gets like a meh to like woo for me, but I did want to bring it to you guys, and I'm very curious, if you're a big Marvel fan, are you super pumped about this? What are your thoughts? I mean, Marvel's making a lot of changes, seemingly extending an olive branch to its fan base that did feel disenfranchised. Are you one of those people? Do you feel like this is working? I'm very curious. Answer that in the comment section below. Let's talk about what's happening to Marvel Comics. All right, it's time for a brand new segment here on the show where I just want to rapid fire some cool points that happened in geekdom the following day, maybe reaching back a bit further than that, but this is called the Dope List. and we're just literally going to talk about some awesomely dope shit that happened yesterday. So number one on the dope list for me is the fact that Brawly and Bardock were released yesterday for Dragon Ball FighterZ Z. Dragon Ball FighterZ Z is a very popular 2D fighting game with the Dragon Ball characters. It's really hot, and this is the first DLC pack, and they went crazy with the strong Saiyans. I got a chance to play this last night. It was super awesome. I actually believe Bardock is borderline OP and might get nerfed, and Brawly looks really cool, but he's a lot of flash and not a lot of fire. By the way, Justin over on the Den of Nerds Gaming did a breakdown for both of these characters. Make sure you go check that out. I'm working on some cool gaming videos over there as well, so if you like gaming, go check out the Den of Nerds Gaming. Another absolutely dope thing that happened yesterday was this Deadpool trailer, the remake for the Infinity War trailer. So somebody with way too much time and awesome creative vision took the Infinity War trailer and replaced almost every single character in there with Deadpool. It's absolutely hilarious. It's been getting a lot of buzz, and rightfully so. I'm a big fan of this kind of like Mashima fan edits kind of parody stuff. I think it's awesome. It was really cool to check out. Another dope Deadpool thing that happened was Donald Glover took some serious shots at Marvel yesterday. If you don't know, there was a story out there about how Donald Glover and his brother were developing a Deadpool animated show, and due to creative differences, the show no longer worked out. Donald Glover came out on Twitter, said he wasn't too busy for it, took shots at Marvel for not wanting a super risque version of Deadpool, and then released scripts for the episodes. Go check them out on his Twitter. Some of these scripts are absolutely crazy. Another super dope thing that happened was the announcement that Toei Animation was actually creating a new division within the company completely dedicated to animating Dragon Ball. Now, you know, if you've been watching the channel, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, but Dragon Ball Super specifically suffered from a lot of production problems due to Toei having to go outsource animators, not having actually good workflow, and not giving Dragon Ball the energy and the focus that it deserved. It looks like they're learning from their mistakes, they're adjusting things, and there's going to be a whole division at Toei for Dragon Ball Super. This probably means we're getting another Dragon Ball anime after the movie, and it's probably going to fix a lot of the problems that we had with Super. Alright, let's go into fan questions. I had two questions about Maz Kanata on yesterday's video. One was from Laura LaPlante, and the other one was from Ange1885. They both wanted to know a little bit about Maz Kanata, so I wanted to go into that here. So let's start with Laura's question. It's sort of Raylo related, so my ears perked up. I was really into it. So she asks about Maz Kanata possibly playing a bigger role in episode 9 and helping maybe Ray and Ben Solo to figure out their drama together. I do think this is a very cool possibility. One of the things I love about the Maz Kanata character is that she's force sensitive. She's seemingly strong with the force. She's got a lot of connections to our main characters, and she's been around for over 1,000 years. She's a great sort of lore keeper, info dump, sort of exposition type character, and I think she'll continue to play that role in Star Wars for a long time. Now, specific to Laura's question, do I think that Maz Kanata will be able to help Kylo Ren and Rey reconcile their differences, figure out a way to live happily ever after, and make all of the Raylo shippers incredibly happy? Not exactly. I do not think that that is going to happen, but she might be able to give some insight onto a young Ben Solo to Rey. Whether or not this is really necessary anymore is kind of up for debate. I mean, when they touch hands, they both receive visions and memories. They've been inside each other's heads. I mean, all the connective tissue is right there. So I don't know if you necessarily need Maz Kanata to bring any of that into the fold, but I love the Maz Kanata character. I think she will be back in episode 9, and it is possible that she will help Rey figure out how to redeem Kylo Ren. Now, as for Ange1885's question, this specifically had to do with how Maz Kanata got Luke's original lightsaber. Will we ever see this played out? Well, I do know that the original version of this story was that Maz sort of captures this thing as a pirate. She literally, like, someone else has it, maybe someone that found it on Cloud City or something like that, and she literally steals it and then holds it for safekeeping. Do I think that we'll get an explanation for that? It's very possible, and I know a lot of people are sort of playing around with this idea that J.J. Abrams is going to give us all the answers that we desired and did not get in The Last Jedi. I actually don't think that's going to happen. J.J. is more of a keep that box closed. Let's be really curious about what is in there. However, closing up the trilogy would imply that he does tie up some of those loose ends. Is it possible that the Maz story of how she got that lightsaber could be one of those things? Maybe. I believe it might end up being given to us in a comic book or a novel or something like that. And it would be really awesome if JJ maybe had it in his notes or had it in his script, but then had to cut it for time. Maybe it could be a deleted scene or something. That would give it a nice tie into the episode. But honestly, with all the other crazy stuff that they have to figure out in that movie, I think telling us how Maz Kanata got the saber, which is also now broken in half, Luke Skywalker didn't want anything to do with it, so it's not as cool. I think that story will not have a stage or a place in the narrative for Episode 9. I want to thank Ange1885 and Laura LaPlante for the questions. If you have a question that you want me to cover on the show, drop it in the comments section and I will talk about it on tomorrow's episode or on a future episode. I also want to say before I get out of here that I've got a really cool Reylo video. I know the Reylo people have been like anxiously awaiting me to do a strictly Reylo video. I am dropping one of those on Star Wars Sunday, as well as a very cool announcement about some exclusive content that I'm doing with a sponsorship partner. You're definitely going to want to check out Star Wars Sunday this Sunday. Very cool stuff coming and happening for this channel. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video. Oh geez, I'm in this little box again. And this must be the end of the video. Well, you know what that means. The reason I'm in this little box is because there's clicky things. You got to click them. So if you don't click them, I'll be trapped in this little box forever. Help me out. Click these things. Help me. Did you click one?